well aware, there is a lot of discussion in the city right now about the school system's budget, and in particular as it relates to teacher salaries and the age and cost of maintaining the school's infrastructure. Let's focus for a minute on this question on salaries. If you were elected mayor, if you were elected to city council, will you, you can see I reuse these. Will you support increasing the school system's budget to fully fund a 4% salary increase for teachers? If yes, how do you propose to pay for it? If not, why wouldn't you?
I'm all for raising the teacher salaries to the 4%, but we still have to go back and listen to reason on this. And the reason is city council has their own job description. And in their job description, they are to provide the budget money that the school board asked for. The school board also has their own job description, and in their job description, when they get that allocated money, they disperse it how they see fit. It's not the city council that disperses that allocated money that they've requested for. It is the school board. So we all follow our own job descriptions, and when you look at them, the city council allocates the money that they ask for, and the school board has their job description, and they disperse it how they see fit. That's my answer. And the only other answer that I have, if we can get some more money, is if we need to go to Richmond. We need to knock on the legislature's doors. We need to ask for more funding for our locality, for our number of schools and our number of students and our number of teachers. And that's where we get a lot of our base money from.
Thank you. Ms. Wallace.
Yes, I will fully support and fund the Newport News Public Schools, and I am for the salary increase of 4% for our teachers to make sure that they are being compensated their worth. They do a lot, and it's a lot of responsibility that's on them, not only just from students receiving the knowledge, but from parents, their expectations, and school administration and the board that runs over them. Not run over them, but that covers them. As far as getting the money, again, looking at the budget and making sure that money is being spent wisely. If there's areas where the budget can be cut and then more funding can be appropriated to our schools, I would look into that with my other council members. But I would need to look at all those numbers first before I can make a sound decision. But I am for at least funding the school 30% of the city's budget to make sure that they have money to pay their staff as well as maintain a lot of our buildings. We are a historic city, we are an old city, so we have a lot of school buildings that does need maintenance. So fully funding the school system is only right because the educated population creates a new workforce, it also attracts new businesses, and it also maintains and retains families to come into our city.
Thank you. Ms. Chair.
Thank you. That's a good question to ask, and as an educator, I think everybody would want to have a 4% raise or some type of raise every year. And so I know that the school board and the city council have met, and we have to continue to meet to come to some decisions about where funding will go and how to allocate those funds as far as the school board allocating funds for salary. I do think that our educators, our teachers, and not only our teachers, but we have other school personnel that also deserve to have a raise as well. So I don't want to just focus on the teachers because it's not just the teachers that are in the building. And so we have to look at all of that. But as some of the folks have said already, the city council allocates money for the school board budget, and it's up to the school board to allocate that funds how they choose to do that. I do want you to be aware that with the acting superintendent, he did meet with our city manager, and they came to a conclusion and consensus that the city council, they needed $791 million for their budget this year, and that's what we voted to support. 791,000 million, that would be wonderful. Yes, sorry about that. But we have to understand also that we do have to contact our state legislators to make sure that we get the funding that we need in order to pay our teachers what they think that their value is. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Scott?
Yes, we did fully fund the school this budget. The superintendent and manager met, and this is what he left with, and they agreed that that's what it was. There is enough money in the budget already to give the teachers the 4%. It's up to the school board to give them the money because, as you've heard the others say, we can't control what happens to the money once we turn it over to them. Over the last 5 years, we were disappointed to learn that this came from the school board's budget. We've pointed it out dozens of times. They had between $9 and $11 million left in one category, salaries, not surplus, just salaries alone. So we hope that they will make the teachers our priority. When I spoke with them, I said, you don't do maintenance, buildings, roads, buses, and then say, oh, okay, teachers. You have to make the teachers a priority and work your way, down to the other things that could wait. And if you were saying that teachers can't wait for a raise, then you put that at the top of your priority list. We would hate to get to the point where we designate the salary money to the school board and prevent them from using it for anything else. And that has been a discussion among council members and our city attorney. If it continues to be a point of contention, which it should not be, because we went through the same thing last year. So we can designate it for salaries, and if you use it for salaries, you give it back to the city council and we'll reallocate it to you the next year. We shouldn't have to go that far. So I hope the school board would do the right thing and start preventing council from looking like we don't care, because we do love our teachers and we know education is a priority in the city.
Thank you, Ms. Scott. Mr. Bethany.
Yes, I'm in full support of the 4% pay raises for not only the teachers, but all the working staff. But I think that from a citizen's perspective, I feel like a ping pong ball as well. I'm trying to, figure out whose numbers are correct, whose numbers are right, or who's telling the truth, who's not telling the truth. And I think the first thing is, I think council should meet definitely more than once a year, I think they just started back meeting with the school board. I think it should be more than just once every quarter or what have you. I think we should be meeting more often to figure out, what exactly we can do to make sure that the funds are there to pay for these raises. So, yeah, I think that's it.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Reese.
Thank you. I was raised by a Newport News Public Schools teacher, so education and teachers will always be near and dear to my heart because I know the plight that they have to go through. As such, I do support the 4% increase. But one thing I would like to seriously work on when elected to the council is forming that collaboration and alignment of efforts between the school board, the city council, the support staff, the teachers, and the citizens. Because at the end of the day, it's about the people, it's about the city. We cannot afford to lose quality teachers. And right now, we have a huge turnover rate in Newport News, higher than ever before, which is going to impact our youth. So I support the 4% increase, but I really want to work on forming that cohesive relationship between our two governing bodies.
Thank you. Mr. Roth.
Yeah, I attended the city council meeting last week, and the discussion was the upcoming budget. It was standing room only in that chamber with mostly teachers asking for that 4% raise. And there was disparity between the numbers the city council was presenting and the city and the school board. So I guess we just need to get to the bottom of who's telling the truth here. But I am definitely in favor of a 4% raise for the teachers. Newport News teachers are not in parity with the salaries compared to other surrounding areas. They're much lower, so I'm definitely in favor of a 4% raise.
Okay, Mr. Reed.
It might be a little disingenuous for me to say this, since I am a teacher, but I am also in favor of a 4% raise. But also for the staff in the schools. I mean, there are a lot of great people who work in the schools, not just teachers, from custodial staff to the people in the cafeterias everywhere, and they all deserve that 4% raise too. But what Ms. Scott and Ms. Cherry said is correct. I mean, part of this issue is an issue with the city council is the funding portion, and the school board allocates. And what has become a problem is, and as was said earlier, is that it seems to be that teachers and people in the school system have become this ping pong ball between the schools, kind of the school board and the city council, and that's really what needs to fix. It's a communication issue. And that's what needs to be addressed. You know, there was to give full credit, there was a Daily Press article this morning about the opinion article about how the city of Hampton allocates its funds for the schools. And they give a set amount that this is what you got, and this is it. And then you go from it. And I know the numbers is what the problem is. And the problem is you can make numbers look anything like you want to in different categories. And that's what school board's done, that's what city council's done. And what I would really like is once a quarter joint sessions with council and board talking this out and talking this through, so we don't have this happen every April where they can't seem to get agreement going on. And that's what I think needs to be improved, just a communication issue.
Okay, Mr. Jenkins?
I support the 4% increase for teachers and other education staff. The question is how to come up with the money. And that's always the question. I get asked all the time. And the fact of the matter is, as a city councilman, it's not really my job to find the money. It's my job to provide the leadership and to work with the city manager. It's the city manager's job to then work with the sub-departments in our city to find more money for the programs that the city council prioritizes. Working together, that's the best way to solve our problems here. Now, as far as whether the money is in the school budget or not in the school budget, I think we can all agree the schools aren't getting enough money right now to do what they need to do. So I can perfectly understand where some of the teachers, maybe some of the leaders in the school system are a little frustrated. I went through the budget fight last year. I was there supporting the teachers when they approached the city council and were told to go talk to the school board, and nothing ever got done. And then this year, we're kind of going through the same thing. It's frustrating for everybody involved. We need to have true leaders here at Newport News that are willing to sit down with the school board, sit down and figure out how we're going to fix this problem and do what's right for our teachers and our education staff and stop sending them back and forth between the two agencies.
Okay, I'm going to ask just a 30-second follow-up question. We'll start with Ms. Penny again because it's a follow-up question. The school board has said in order to pay for a 4% raise, they need $2.something million more. The city council has to pass a budget in just a very short period of time. Yes or no? Do you add that? Do you allocate that money to the school board or not?
Absolutely, but my question would be to that interim superintendent is, why didn't you put it in there to begin with?
Okay. Ms. Wallace?
Yes, I will. I would.
Okay. Ms. Cherry?
Could you repeat your question?
The question is, the school board has said in order to pay a provide a 4% raise, they need an extra $2.something million. The city council has to pass a budget in the next few weeks, several weeks. Do you add that money to the school board's budget or do you not?
I think we need to go back, as it has been said already, and school board and city council can sit down together and look at the budget and see, because we've already approved the money that the $791,000. And so I think that the school board, there's a time for us to sit down and come to a consensus about how we can come up with a 4% raise for the teachers.
So that's a no?
That's my answer.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Ms. Scott?
The numbers that everybody are confused about came from the school board's budget book. So if the board members had been reading their own budget book, they would have seen that salary designation and they would have known they had the money. So I want to see what happened to the money. Show me the money. What was a more priority than the teachers? But what I would like to do going forward, and I did talk with one of my counterparts in the North District, the council and the board needs to get in the room and close the door. This doesn't need to be a public spectacle. We need to get among ourselves, and when we come out of that room, we need to have a united front.
All right, and I take that as a no.
No, I'm taking it as I will compromise, but I need them at the table.
Okay.
We are not going to be the only one to give when they already have the money, and they could have done it themselves. So
Okay.
we're going to have to do some give and take here.
All right, Mr. Bethany?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Reason?
I would like to say yes, but what I would like to see is for both to come together so that moving forward, the funds will be efficiently allocated and prioritized.
Okay. Mr. Reed? I'm sorry, Mr. Roth?
The council's approved that $791,000 already. Just the two sides just need to come together.
So is that a no?
That's my answer.
Okay. Mr. Reed?
My answer is yes. But a yes with stipulations. One of the things I feel like if you're going to give that money off, because I think the money should be improved for the 4% raise, and then kind of that can help benefit the school system as a whole. But I also think there needs to be stipulations put together where the school board and council, as Councilwoman Scott said, need to get together on a regular basis and hash this inside in private meetings where this is not publicly aired, like messing everything up. So.
Okay, Mr. Jenkins.
Yes, I would support it. I think that the school board and the city council need to work closer together. I think that the school board needs to know that they can ask for the budget they need, and the city council will support them in that. It's very frustrating when you try to prepare a budget that you think has no chance of being approved. And I think that's one of the reasons the school board has been as modest as they have been at requesting money from the city and leaving some of the problems in our schools unsolved.
Okay, thank you.